Ian Garry and Darian Weeks in the welterweight division. Darian Weeks, 5 wins and 1 loss, 28 years old, and a lot smaller and a lot less in terms of reach. That's one thing you really gotta notice with a guy like Ian, the future Garry, a very, very high prospect in the welterweight division, is that he's very tall, very lengthy for this welterweight division. 6'3", having a 4-inch height advantage and a 74-inch reach, having a 2-inch height or 2-inch reach advantage right there. He's training with some beasts over there at Sanford MMA. He's training with Derek Brunson, Vicente Luque, Gilbert Dorino Burns, Robbie Lawler, Takashi Sato, Jason Jackson right there, Jared Gordon. A lot of very, very legit guys. Phil Halls, Impa Gazangana. He's training with some legit guys over there at Sanford MMA. Darian Weeks, he's also training with some decent guys over there, not really to the extent of Ian Garry, but they're both very, very solid strikers. With Darian Weeks probably going to have the wrestling advantage early on in the fight. Later on in the fight, I see it being more of a striking battle, but I think if Darian Weeks really wants to win this fight, he needs to land some takedowns here. He needs to pressure Ian Garry and just defend the shots of Ian Garry as he's coming in, land the takedowns, and that would be the way that I would see Darian Weeks winning. But his striking is also very solid. He's got good front kicks, good left hooks, uppercuts, right hooks, straight rights down the middle. He's a very solid striker. I will definitely give him that. But Ian Garry having the height advantage and the reach advantage, I would say in the later rounds that Ian Garry will have the advantage. Maybe early on, when Darian Weeks is a little bit fresher and he's not going to be a little bit fatigued or anything like that, maybe Darian Weeks will have the advantage early on in the fight in the striking and in the wrestling. So I'm going to give the first round to Darian Weeks, and then towards the second and third round, Ian Garry with the height, with the reach, in my opinion, with the cardio advantage and the fact that he saw Bryan Barberena go out there and heavily attack the legs of Darian Weeks. So we're going to see the same from Ian Garry. He's going to attack the legs, attack the legs, attack the legs, and while he's focused on the legs, he's going to attack high with the head kicks, and that is why I'm not sold on Ian Garry winning the fight by a decision. That is my prediction, I'll tell you that right now, but I'm not sold on that. I've seen the guys like Paddy Pimblett, like Ian Garry. Sometimes you think they're going to win the fight by a decision on guys like Darian Weeks who have never been finished, but they just pull out the finish out of nowhere. I'm going to be honest, quote me, come back to the fight like 18 days from now on UFC 273. I want to see if this does happen, because it's not going to be my official prediction, but I think it's super likely we can see Ian Garry attacking the legs, maybe a few body kicks here and there, getting the guard of Darian Weeks to calm down, and in the second or third round, I can see a highlight reel finish from Ian Garry, landing a head kick on Darian Weeks and knocking him out cold. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying with the style of Ian Garry being the taller, lengthier guy, it's going to be a lot easier for him to land that head kick on a shorter opponent. And Darian Weeks having being a guy that's being a little bit susceptible to the leg kicks and the body kicks in the past, as we saw in the Bryan Barberena fight, I can see those head kicks definitely playing a factor here. But overall, my full prediction for the fight is going to be Ian Garry decision. I think he'll win the second round, just outstriking him, laying those leg kicks, of course, body kicks, and staying at range, using the height and reach, and winning the fight by a unanimous decision. But again, you never know with those head kicks. But let's see the betting odds. Oh my god, interesting. Very, very interesting. So a 2-1 favor, Ian Garry, started at a -184 favor. So the money is definitely coming in on Ian Garry, the favorite to win this fight. So I'm going to go Ian Garry winning. I don't know if he's going to win the first round. Darian Weeks is pretty solid earlier on in the fight. The later it goes, with the kicks kind of playing a little bit of a fatiguing advantage to the legs of Darian Weeks, the cardio of Darian Weeks, that's where Ian Garry will start to come back. But it's a solid fight there in the welterweight division. I got Ian Garry by a unanimous decision.